The Book of Enoch, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, is the oldest known apocalyptic text in history. Though it features a biblical figure mentioned in both the Old and New Testaments, it was never intended to be part of the official canon of Christianity or Judaism. To understand who Enoch was and why his story was important enough to be recorded, let's start with what the Bible says. In the Old Testament, Enoch gets a brief mention in Genesis as the son of Jared, a descendant of Seth, Adam and Eve's third son. Enoch's significance is hinted at in his long lifespan, 365 years, and the extraordinary longevity of his descendants, including Methuselah, who famously lived nearly 1,000 years and was a forefather before the flood. The New Testament adds a bit more to Enoch's story. The Epistle to the Hebrews notes that Enoch was favored by God and was taken up to heaven because of his unwavering faith. This means he entered heaven without experiencing death, which marks the end of the official biblical account of Enoch. But there's so much more to his story that isn't found in the Bible. To uncover the full scope of Enoch's experiences, we turn to the apocryphal Enoch books and scrolls. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls between 1947 and 1956 revolutionized the study of the Hebrew Bible, and among them was a significant collection recognized as the Ethiopian Book of Enoch. This book is the oldest known apocalyptic writing, possibly dating back to the 3rd century BC, well before the Book of Revelation in the New Testament, which was written around 95 AD. The Book of Enoch has been preserved primarily in the ancient Ethiopian language, reflecting its central place in the Ethiopian Church. Unlike other Jewish and Christian communities worldwide, the Ethiopian Church includes the Book of Enoch in its canon. But why was this book excluded from the official Bible? Could it be that it contains knowledge that challenges our religious beliefs and our understanding of the world? Enoch's ascension, as mentioned in the Bible, describes his being taken into heaven by God while still alive. However, the Bible doesn't provide details about this journey. The Ethiopian Book of Enoch offers more insight, suggesting that Enoch was granted access to divine and heavenly mysteries during his rapture. The book also details the fall of the angels, a fascinating story found in the Book of the Watchers, part of the Enoch collection. Tradition holds that the angel Semyaza led a group of celestial beings to descend to earth, where they cohabited with human women, resulting in the birth of giants. These giants wreaked havoc, drawing God's wrath, and in response, God banished the angels from paradise and condemned them to a lake of fire on the day of judgment. As the fallen angels faced their doom, they pleaded for mercy, but God remained firm. Enoch was then chosen to deliver God's harsh judgment to these angels. During his ascent to heaven, guided by 2 angels, Enoch gained profound insights into the divine realm. The Book of Enoch suggests there are 7 distinct levels of heaven, each with its own inhabitants, a concept that differs from other religious texts and might explain why it was excluded from the Bible. Unlike the Hebrew Bible, which mentions only one heaven, Enoch describes a hierarchy. The first heaven holds clouds and stars, the second where fallen angels await judgment. The third is a paradise for the righteous, also housing a place for sinners' punishment. Beyond these lies the 7th heaven, where God's throne resides, accessible only to select archangels. The rigorous process of selecting canonical texts aimed to preserve the Bible's integrity and ensure it remained a reliable guide for Christian faith. The Book of Enoch, created under mysterious circumstances and diverging significantly from the other 66 books, wasn't included in this process. While fragments in Aramaic have been found, indicating some awareness of the book among ancient Jews and certain Christians, there's no evidence it underwent the same scrutiny as other biblical texts. Some enthusiasts and proponents of theories like pre-astronautics believe the Book of Enoch was excluded from the Bible as part of a conspiracy, They speculate that its content narrates a tale of alien abduction rather than divine events. This interpretation suggests that the beings Enoch describes as descending to earth were not divine, but extraterrestrial, and Enoch's ascension to heaven was actually an alien abduction. From this perspective, the events Enoch witnessed could be seen as encounters with advanced extraterrestrial technology. This theory offers a fascinating, if speculative, alternative to traditional religious interpretations of the Book of Enoch. However, it significantly diverges from mainstream religious beliefs. The idea that extraterrestrial beings have interacted with humanity and were worshipped as gods is a compelling concept in pre-astronautics. Some believe these beings are still observing us and may intervene if they perceive humanity as being on the brink of self-destruction, especially with our current technological advancements. Babylon, a city rich in history and shrouded in mystery, played a pivotal role in ancient Mesopotamia. Known for its architectural wonders and cultural achievements, Babylon was once the most populous city in the world, with over 200,000 inhabitants. However, its ultimate downfall remains a topic of speculation, with biblical texts and historical documents offering only glimpses of its fate. Over time, Babylon fell into decline and eventually faded into obscurity, leaving behind only traces of its former glory as silent witnesses to its illustrious past. Despite the many invasions and the relentless march of time, some remnants of ancient Babylon still stand today, though they are mere shadows of their former splendor. Visitors to the region can wander through archaeological sites where a few walls and structures offer a glimpse into Babylon's grand past. These remnants provide a fascinating window into life in one of the earliest and most influential civilizations. Even now, tourists from around the globe flock to these sites, drawn by their historical significance and the chance to marvel at the achievements of an ancient wonder. Herodotus, the famed Greek historian, was awestruck by the marvels of Babylon. Among the city's most renowned features were its towering gates, the massive encircling walls, and the legendary Tower of Babel. These colossal structures left a profound impression on all who saw them. The city's walls, stretching over 10 miles, were so formidable that Herodotus claimed chariots could be driven along their tops. These defenses made Babylon one of the most impregnable cities of its time, symbolizing its might and deterring potential invaders. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, remain one of history's greatest mysteries. Although no definitive evidence of these gardens has been found, their legend continues to captivate historians. According to tradition, King Nebuchadnezzar II built them for his wife, Queen Amytis, who missed the green hills of her homeland. These terraced gardens with lush vegetation and cascading waterfalls were said to be a marvel of engineering, showcasing the sophistication of Babylonian architecture and horticulture. Even as Babylon faded into history, its wonders continue to spark the imagination. The city stands as a symbol of ancient human achievement, with its legacy preserved in the stories of its grand structures and its impact on civilization. The fall of Babylon came with the rise of the Persian Empire, marking the end of its reign as a major power. Ancient accounts of Babylon's defeat vary, with some describing a siege and others suggesting a peaceful surrender. Despite the uncertainty, the Persian victory marked a period of change. Babylon was incorporated into the Persian Empire, with Aramaic becoming the official language, though Akkadian was still used by local scholars. Notably, Cyrus II's policies allowed the Jewish exiles to return to their homeland, a significant event in their history. Nebuchadnezzar II, despite his reign's grandeur, was said to have foreseen Babylon's downfall through a dream, which was interpreted by the prophet Daniel as a sign of 4 successive kingdoms being overthrown by God. After the Persian period, Babylon became a center for scientific advancement. In the 5th century BC, Babylonian astronomers calculated the solar year and created the first horoscope. Alexander the Great's conquest in 353 BC introduced Greek culture, which mixed with local traditions. However, after Alexander's death, the region experienced turmoil, eventually falling under Parthian control in the late 2nd century BC, bringing an end to the once great city. In the New Testament, the concept of the Antichrist emerges as a figure opposed to Christ. This figure, mentioned sparingly in the epistles of John, is often associated with false teachers and prophets who lead believers astray. While early Christianity sometimes described the Antichrist as a group rather than a single entity, modern interpretations often focus on a singular adversary. The Book of Revelation offers a vivid portrayal of the end times, featuring cosmic battles and divine judgments. The text describes catastrophic events such as fire and blood rains and the rise of a dragon symbolizing Satan. The Antichrist, often linked to a beast in Revelation, is portrayed as a deceiver leading people away from God. Ultimately, the righteous will triumph, and a new heaven and earth will be created. Throughout history, the Antichrist has been a figure of intrigue and speculation. From Roman emperors to Islamic conquerors, many have been accused of embodying this demonic adversary. In the 20th century, amidst the chaos of World War I, the motif of the Antichrist persisted, illustrating its enduring relevance in human thought. Miracles only happen when, after World War II, the concept of the Antichrist was co-opted by anti-Semitic propaganda. The Nazi regime, which saw the Jewish people as the embodiment of absolute evil, falsely claimed that Jews were scheming to dominate the world through deception and conspiracy. This twisted ideology framed the extermination of Jews as a way to save the Aryan race. This horrific worldview was propagated through various media, including Hitler's own writings, where he described Jews as the Antichrist of world history. In contrast, many of the regime's opponents viewed the Nazis as embodying the Antichrist themselves. This brutal ideology led to one of the worst genocides in history, leaving a lasting scar on humanity. In today's world, where countless figures have been labeled as the Antichrist, the concept might seem outdated. Many Christians no longer expect a singular Antichrist figure to wreak havoc. Instead, some believe the Antichrist could be an overarching system rather than a specific person or group. For instance, in the 19th century, Karl Marx was labeled the Antichrist, and later communism as a whole was similarly condemned. Some even argue that communism was responsible for the world wars and is working toward a one-world government and currency, as prophesied in the Bible. Currently, some speculate that the Antichrist might be represented by political entities like the European Union or the United States, reflecting their growing global influence. Modern technologies and organizations like ISIS have also been associated with the Antichrist in some theories. More recently, some people have controversially named figures like Presidents Joe Biden and Donald Trump, or even Elon Musk, as potential antichrists. Though these ideas lack broad support, they highlight the ongoing fascination with the concept of the Antichrist. What's your take on this? Do you think the Antichrist will ever appear and bring chaos? Or is it more of a myth? On a different note, the Shroud of Turin, a cloth that some believe might prove the story of Jesus' resurrection, has been the subject of debate. Research from the 1970s initially suggested it was a fake, but later investigations found that its sewing techniques matched those used in ancient Israel. Yet carbon dating in the 1980s dated it to the 13th or 14th century, not to Jesus' time. Some analyses also revealed that the bloodstains were likely pigments, raising questions about its authenticity. While it's an intriguing artifact, the evidence points towards it being too good to be true. Regarding the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered between 1947 and 1956, they provide valuable insights into biblical history. These texts, found in the West Bank, include writings in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic from around 250 BC to 70 AD. They often mirror modern Bible accounts, but with some variations, highlighting how biblical narratives have evolved and raising questions about translations, such as the King James Version. The story of Noah's flood is another captivating topic. While many scholars see it as symbolic, some researchers are uncovering evidence suggesting a massive flood occurred thousands of years ago. The biblical account in Genesis describes Noah building an ark and saving various animals from a worldwide deluge. The narrative also mentions 7 wise men who survived the flood and laid the foundation for new civilizations. Their identity and role in constructing ancient temples and pyramids remain a mystery. Ancient temples like the Temple of Edfu in Egypt, dating back to 237–157 BC, are thought to hold secrets about cosmic origins. These temples are linked to the legendary 7 wise men who allegedly built sacred structures and monumental pyramids. Thoth, the Egyptian moon god, is said to have been involved in these projects. In addition to the biblical account, other cultures also have stories of great floods, suggesting that the flood narrative may have roots in older traditions. For example, in 1849, British archaeologist Austin Henry Layard uncovered thousands of cuneiform tablets in Assyria, including the famous Epic of Gilgamesh, which also describes a great flood, the Gilgamesh Flood. Curiously, the full story of the Gilgamesh Flood didn't come to light until over 20 years after the initial discovery of the ancient tablets. In 1872, George Smith took a closer look at these old records and uncovered a fascinating tale. The epic centers on Gilgamesh, the Uruk king, who embarks on a quest to discover the secret of immortality from the great flood survivor, Utnapishtim. The 11th panel of this epic, aptly named The Flood, is particularly intriguing. When Gilgamesh asks Utnapishtim why he alone is immortal, Utnapishtim recounts the ancient flood disaster. The details in this story closely resemble the biblical Noah's flood, suggesting that the Noah narrative may have been adapted from this earlier Gilgamesh tablet. However, it's important to note that the tablet we have today is incomplete, with its content pieced together from various Sumerian, Babylonian, and Akkadian fragments. The Ark of Ziusudra. The story goes that the god Enki warned a man named Ziusudra about a catastrophic flood that would annihilate all life. Following divine instructions, Ziusudra quickly built a large ship from the wreckage of his home. Despite being told not to warn others, Ziusudra prepared for the flood by loading the ship with animals, his wife, and family. As the floodwaters eventually receded, Ziusudra and his wife were honored for saving life and were granted a place in the blessed realm of the gods. The search for the origin. Beyond the biblical narrative, many cultures have their own flood myths, from Hinduism to ancient Icelandic sagas, Australian Aboriginal lore, and Chinese antiquity. With so many similar stories, it's unlikely they're all mere legends. One intriguing theory suggests that a massive cosmic impact, such as a meteor strike, could have caused the Great Flood. This impact might have triggered a colossal tsunami, which could explain the widespread flood myths. Such an event might have reshaped the Earth and led to the rise of new civilizations and cultures that each recorded their version of the flood. While definitive proof of this theory is still elusive, the global consistency of flood legends hints at a significant event in our ancient past. The quest to uncover the truth behind these myths continues to captivate researchers and historians alike.